So good afternoon, everyone. It's almost 2:45, so let's start the lecture. So lecture naman natin today is just introduction to histology. I'm Dr. May, sir. You can call me Doc May, you can call me Ma'am May, kahit alin. I answer naman kahit alin. So for topic natin today, it's more of introduction as well as bridging into the parts of the microscope, no? Kasi yun yung tool na ginagamit natin when we study histology, which is our subject, no? So let's begin. So the objectives for today's lecture, of course, is to review first about cells. Kasi nga yung tissues natin, I'm sure you've already had biology classes before this, no? So alam natin na yung tissues are made up of cells. So before we dive into the tissues, we want to know what these tissues are made up of. So, di ba? They're made up of cells. So we will review about cells, uh, cell theory and different types of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. We'll also discuss the structure and function of different parts of the cell. And we will also learn about the transport processes or mechanisms na ginagamit ng cells natin in order to transport substances. We will also familiarize ourselves with phases of the cell cycle, pero hindi naman siya super in-depth since first year level, hindi naman kailangan super toxic ng discussion natin regarding the cell, no? So, uh, and then we will also discuss, of course, the microscope later on. This will lead to your lab activity later. Uh, Sorry. So this will lead to your lab activity later, no? Yung parts of the microscope. So, and then we will also discuss the use of the microscope as well as its proper handling and aftercare. So, let's start the lecture. Let's get the ball rolling. Also, the cell, of course, we know is the basic unit of life. It's the simplest collection of matter that can live, no? So, alam natin that all living organisms are made up of cells, okay? And living organisms can be unicellular. Uni, ibig sabihin isa lang, or multicellular, ibig sabihin marami. Okay? So, pwedeng pag uh, isang cell lang siya, you call it unicellular. For example, your bacteria. You also have fungi that are unicellular. And then you have your multicellular organisms like us humans, yung mga animals and plants, no? And your fungi. Most of the fungi are multicellular. Your cells are also divided into two types, prokaryotic being the more primitive ones, and then the eukaryotic, yung mas advanced. So we will discuss the differences between your prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells in the next slide. No? So I just want to walk you through something called the cell theory. So the cell, as we mentioned, is the basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Ibig sabihin, your organisms are made up of cells. So you put the cells together, you form a tissue. You put different tissues together working in tandem to form an organ. And then different organs uh, performing a specific function, working hand in hand, you call that an organ system. And the collection of the organ systems uh, is you call an is what you call an organism, like us humans. Diba? Meron tayong different organ systems and these organ systems have different organs that are part of it, no? So, and then another thing that I want you to remember is that cells arise from pre-existing cells. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga cells natin, hindi lang siya tumubo na bigla lang siyang, hindi lang siya biglang nag-appear, no? From nothing. Ang cell na to, kunyari may nakita kang, ay sorry, kung kunyari may nakita kang isang cell, like this cell came from a pre-existing cell. Ibig sabihin, meron siyang nanay na cell din. At yung nanay na yun, nag-divide into two cells, kaya ka nagkaroon ng daughter cell. Yung nanay na yun, also came from something that existed before her. So, meron pang cell na nag-give rise dun sa nanay na yun. So, cells arise from pre-existing cells. Okay? Next. So, dito naman tayo mag-focus dun sa differences ng prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Okay? So, your prokaryotic cells, ito yung mga bacteria natin, no? So, tandaan nyo, the prokaryotic cells usually refer to your bacteria. So, eukaryotes naman, dito mo makikita din. Dito mo makikita yung mga animals, plants, and humans, and yung mga fungi natin, no? Fungi and your parasites or protozoans. So, itong si eukaryotes, sila yung mas advanced, no? Uh, So, karyo in prokaryotes, yung word na karyo here, yung root word na karyo here, this karyo, plus yung karyo dito, it refers to the presence of a nucleus.
Nucleus.
So, pro means primitive. So, primitive nucleus ang meron dito sa mga bacteria. U means true. So, ang meron sa mga eukaryotes ay true nucleus. And how do you know it's a true nucleus? It is bound by a membrane. Okay? So, what is a nucleus? It's the area that contains your genetic material. Yung instructions ng cell mo kung paano siya mag-function, paano siya mag-survive, paano siya mag-proliferate. So, yung nucleus, yung genetic material ng eukaryotes mo is bound by a membrane. So, meron siyang border, meron siyang envelope. Okay? Meanwhile, sa prokaryotes, dahil pro or primitive yung nucleus niya, wala siyang defined na membrane. Instead, you refer to the vague region where it is located as a nucleoid region. Okay? Another key differences regarding the genetic material of your prokaryotes, circular sa prokaryotes, linear naman sa eukaryotes. Okay? Another key difference between your eukaryotes and prokaryotes is the presence of membrane-bound organelles. So sabi natin, mas primitive yung prokaryotes, di ba? So wala sila nung organelles na yan. Ano ba yung organelles? Organelles. So they're like small organs found inside your cell that perform different functions for the cell to thrive. So yung may mas advanced yung structure niya, yung may maliliit na organs dyan, is your eukaryotes. Okay? So yung membrane-bound organelles as well as the membrane-bound nucleus is found in your eukaryotes. Okay? And one of the membrane-bound organelles in your eukaryotes is the powerhouse of the cell known as the mitochondria. Okay? So, sabi natin, di ba, membrane-bound organelles are found only in eukaryotes. So, ano naman yung powerhouse of the cell in prokaryotes? The powerhouse of the cell in prokaryotes, walang mitochondria doon dahil wala silang membrane-bound organelles. Therefore, the cell membrane is the site wherein energy is generated. Okay? Okay, masyado ba mabilis? O, sige, medyo mabilis kasi talaga ako magsalita. Okay, sorry, sensya. Okay, so next, you have your cell division naman. So how do your prokaryotes divide? Your prokaryotes divide by a means of what you call binary fission. So fission, ibig sabihin, nahati. Diba? Fusion, yung nagsasama. Pag fission, nahati. Okay? So binary, ibig sabihin, nahati siya sa dalawa. So binary fission, yung nangyayari sa prokaryotes. In eukaryotes naman, you call the process as mitosis. So itong mitosis, i-discuss natin in more detail later on. Okay? So here you have a prokaryotic cell, your bacteria. Here you have a eukaryotic cell, your animals. No? So sabi natin kanina, your eukaryotes have a true nucleus. So pag true nucleus, meron siyang membrane, meron siyang border, meron siyang envelope. So ito yung envelope, nuclear membrane, nuclear envelope na bumabalot dun sa genetic material ng animal cell natin. So this one is the nucleus. It has a membrane surrounding it. No? Dito sa bacteria, as you can see, yung nucleus niya, walang membrane na nakasurround. Okay? So that's the key difference in your prokaryotes. That's a key difference in your prokaryotes and eukaryotes. And if you look at the cell over here, ang meron lang sila is actually ribosomes, pero wala sila nung ibang shapes na to. Ito yung tinatawag nating other membrane-bound organelles. So the membrane-bound organelles are present in your eukaryotes only. And one of those is your mitochondria. Diba? Sabi natin, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell in eukaryotes. Sa prokaryotes, energy generation occurs in the plasma membrane. Okay? So now let's go to the specific parts of the eukaryotic cell. No? So hindi na natin masyadong tutoksikin yung parts of the bacterial cell kasi sa bacteriology nila na problemahin yon. So topic natin is human histology. So we humans are eukaryotes. So let's go into the structure of your eukaryotic cells. So the first part of your eukaryotic cell, let's go from outside going in, di ba? So galing sa labas, papasok sa loob, papunta sa nucleus. So, pag galing ka sa labas, ang una mong may encounter is your plasma membrane. Your plasma membrane is also known as the cell membrane, also known as the plasma-lemma. So, what does the plasma membrane do? It envelopes your cell contents. Okay, so it serves as a boundary between the outside of the cell and the inside of the cell. So, being the boundary, so kumbaga siya yung bakod ng cell mo, it regulates the movement of material into and out of the cell. Kasi, kung yan yung pintuan, ay kung yan yung bakod, syempre, sorry, ano yun? So, kung yan yung bakod, syempre, kung may gustong pumasok sa loob ng cell mo, kailangan niyang dumaan dyan. Hindi siya pwedeng mag-shortcut, mag-jump inside the cell. No? Kailangan niyang dumaan sa plasma membrane. Pag kailangan namang may ilabas ang cell natin, kailangan, syempre, kailangan siyang dumaan din through the plasma membrane to the outside environment. So, movement of material is regulated by the plasma membrane. Your plasma membrane also plays a role in cellular communication. Bakit? Kasi itong plasma membrane or yung outer envelope ng cell natin, siya yung may contact with the outside environment. So, kung meron mang stimulus that wants to interact with your cell, ang una niyang mamimit, syempre, is your plasma membrane. Okay? So let's have a quick discussion lang on the structure of your plasma membrane, no? So your plasma membrane, the structure is actually called a phospholipid bilayer. So what is a phospholipid bilayer? Kaya phospho, yung simula niyan kasi meron siyang phosphate dito sa part na to. So phosphate, phosphorus na may 4 na oxygen. And then this part is a lipid. Ano yung lipid? Lipid is a fat. Okay? So pag fat, ibig sabihin hindi siya soluble in water. So yung cell natin, 'di ba, sabi natin, your cell is made up mostly, your cells and your body actually is made up mostly of water. Yung outside environment niya, maraming water. Yung inside environment niya, maraming water. So, paano mo paghihiwalayin yung dalawang bagay na mostly made up of water? You put a fatty layer or oily layer in between. Kasi 'di ba, oil and water do not mix. So, kapag gumawa ka ng layer na oily or fatty in between dyan, magpapaghiwalay mo yung outside of the cell and the inside of the cell. So, yun yung idea ng plasma membrane. Okay? So, kaya siya naging bilayer kasi you use 2 layers of this phospholipid na magkabaligtaran. So, ito yung phosphate niya, and then you have the fatty part here, and then you have another fatty part here, tapos nandito yung phosphate. Okay? So, kaya siya naging phospholipid bilayer. So, your plasma membrane serves to separate the inside of the cell from the outside of the cell. Okay? Next. So, tapos na tayo sa plasma membrane. Now, let's go into the cytoplasm. So, the cytoplasm is everything that is inside the cell and outside the nuclear envelope or the nuclear membrane. So, kung ito yung nucleus mo, tapos ito yung plasma membrane mo, yung nasa pagitan yan, yun yung cytoplasm. Lahat ng laman na nasa labas ng nuclear membrane at nasa loob ng plasma membrane is yung cytoplasm. The material that is inside the cytoplasm yung, ay parang isang gelatin. So that gelatinous substance that fills the inside of the cell is called the cytoplasm, and the substance itself, yung gelatin mismo, you call that a cytosol. So, yung gelatin mismo is the cytosol. Yung gelatin plus yung mga laman niya, kagaya ng mga organelles at yung mga yung mga mitochondria, etc., na nakalagay dito lahat sa area na to, you call that the cytoplasm. Okay? So, itong cytoplasm is the site of many biochemical reactions which you will appreciate in your second year, no? Pag nag-biochem kayo. So, the cytoplasm is where most of your cellular processes occur. Okay? Next. Doon naman tayo sa tinatawag nating cytoskeleton. So, cyto pala means cell. No? So, it refers to the skeleton of your cell. So, what does the skeleton do? As in humans, it provides structural integrity, structural support, as well as assists in your body movements, di ba? So, yung cytoskeleton does the same thing for your cells, no? It assists with cell motility and movement of materials throughout the cell, okay? So, ano yung sinasabi nating cell motility? For example, meron tayong mga cells na meron mga buntot, yung tinatawag nating flagella, that's made up of cytoskeleton. Meron tayong mga cells na may mga parang buhok-buhok dyan, you call that cilia. That's also made up of cytoskeleton. No? So, may mga microtubules natin. No? So there are three types of microskeleton. Your cytoskeleton. Your microtubules, your microfilaments, and your intermediate filaments. Okay? So your microtubules and your intermediate filaments have a role in maintaining the cell shape. Okay? So sa cell shape, we have microtubules and intermediate filaments. Okay? Your microtubules also play a role in cell reproduction. Dun sa tinatawag nating mitosis na i-discuss natin later on. Okay? So, di-discuss natin yan. So, tandaan nyo lang muna, microtubules serve a role in cell shape as well as mitosis. Si intermediate filaments sa cell shape lang. Okay? Maintaining the cell structure. Ito namang microfilaments is used in the movement of materials throughout the cell. So, for example, this is your cell. Meron kang protein na ginawa dito sa side ng cell na to. Pero this side of the cell wants to use that protein. So what will your cell do? It will use microfilaments to bring that protein to the other side of the cell. So para siyang lubid na ginagamit ng cell natin pang ferry ng mga bagay-bagay sa loob ng cell natin. You call that cytoplasmic streaming or transport. Okay? Next. So, tapos na tayo sa cytoskeleton. Now, let's go to the powerhouse of the cell. Your favorite organelle, the mitochondria. So, the mitochondria is being the powerhouse of the cell, is the site of energy production. So, the energy produced is actually in the form of ATP, yung tinatawag nating adenosine triphosphate. So, adenosine is a molecule that you will encounter in your biochemistry. Tandaan nyo na lang yung ibig sabihin ng ATP. Okay, so ATP is the energy currency of your cell. Okay, so yung energy currency of the cell is made in the mitochondria and this process requires oxygen. Okay, so itong mitochondria, being the site of energy production, is also being a membrane-bound organelle, also, meron din siyang membrane, di ba? So, membrane-bound organelle, pero ang pagkakaiba niya, double membrane to. Meron tayong inner membrane, meron tayong outer membrane. And the inner membrane has infoldings. Tapos dito sa infoldings na to, nangyayari yung production of energy. Okay? A key thing to remember about your mitochondria is that it contains its own DNA. And this DNA is actually maternally derived. So, pag maternally derived, anong ibig sabihin? Galing siya sa iyong nanay. So, yung mitochondria mo, namana mo yan sa nanay mo. Hindi mo siya namana sa tatay mo. So, your mitochondrial DNA is passed from generation to generation, from mother to offspring. Okay? So, next. After energy generation, we now go to synthesis of proteins, yung mga cellular constituents natin. The site wherein proteins are made is your ribosomes. No? So, si ribosome is the site of protein synthesis. Usually, pag makikita mo siya sa drawing, mga bilog-bilog lang siya na maliliit. No? Actually, your ribosomes are also present in prokaryotes. Siya lang yung organelle na makikita mo sa prokaryotes. Okay? Your ribosomes are made up of two subunits. Isang large, tapos isang small. Tapos yung cell natin, it will use the ribosomes in order to make new proteins. Okay? There are two types of your ribosomes. Meron tayong bound ribosomes, nakadikit siya sa ibang organelle. And then you have your free ribosomes. Kaya siya free is malaya siyang maglutang-lutang lang sa cytoplasm. Okay? So now let's go to your bound ribosomes. Saan nakadikit tong bound ribosomes? Nakadikit siya dito sa excuse me. Nakadikit siya dito sa rough endoplasmic reticulum. So, tandaan, dun lang sa rough endoplasmic reticulum, merong nakadikit na ribosomes. Okay? So, what is the endoplasmic reticulum? It's a convoluted membranous network of intercommunicating channels called cisterns. So, para siyang network, para ng mga kuweba, that leads to from the nucleus to the rest of the cell. No? So, this endoplasmic reticulum, ang function niya magkaiba depending on the type of endoplasmic reticulum involved. Yung rough ER, yung may nakadikit na ribosome. So, madali naman tandaan kasi ribosomes rough, letter R. So, mukha siyang magaspang kasi may mga nakadikit na ribosomes, kaya siya naging rough. And then you have your smooth ER. Pag smooth ER, walang nakadikit na ribosome, so it's smoother looking compared to the other one, no? So, for your rough ER is associated with protein synthesis, protein modification and transport. Your smooth ER is associated with fat or lipid biosynthesis as well as detoxification of harmful substances. So, itong detoxification na to, saan ba natin to na-encounter? Di ba? Sa liver. So, yung liver natin, di ba, sinasabi namin, pag, pag maglalasing ka, kawawa na may atay mo. Kasi atay mo yung nagpa-process nung alcohol para hindi ka ma-damage. So, in the same manner, your liver is also responsible for detoxifying whatever drugs or substances you take in your body, no? So, kaya yung liver natin has a large amount of smooth ER kasi it serves in detoxification. Okay? So tandaan, rough is more associated with proteins, smooth is more associated with lipids and detoxification. Okay? Next. So tapos na tayo sa ER. Now let's go to your Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus serves as the packaging center of whatever protein was made and modified by the previous organelles. Di ba sabi natin kanina, when you make a protein, ang gagawa si ribosomes. Tapos, imomodify, transport, or store siya ni rough ER. So, pag tapos na si rough ER, sa kung ano mang gagawin niya dun sa protein na yun, the one that will process it now for shipping is your Golgi apparatus. So, para siyang sorting center dun sa mga Shopee na ano no, 'di ba? Kapag may pinadala na yung seller, pinadala niya na yung package mo, eventually i-consolidate nila yung mga packages sa isang sorting center. For example, yung sa Shenzhen sorting center, 'di ba? Sikat-sikat kayo. So, for example, nasa Shenzhen sorting center na si Shenzhen Sorting Center ang magsosort kung saan man niya ipapadalang SOC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yung package mo para bago siya dalhin dun sa bahay mo mismo, di ba? So yun yung pa-function din nitong si Golgi apparatus. Okay? It will package and address the proteins made by the uh, ribosomes from the rough ER to their proper destinations. Okay? So next. So now let's go to what we call your inclusion bodies. So your inclusion bodies are a spherical membrane-bound organelles. So depende sa laman ng spherical membrane-bound organelles na to, iba yung tawag dun sa inclusion bodies. Okay? If the inclusion body is used in transporting cellular material into or out of or across the cell, you call that a vesicle. Okay? Kapag yung inclusion body mo naman, nagko-contain siya ng enzymes for digestion. For example, yung white blood cell mo, meron siyang kinain na bacteria. Tapos may darating na inclusion body containing a digestive enzyme na gagamitin para tunawin yung bacteria na yon. You call that inclusion body as a lysosome. Okay? Kapag yung inclusion body naman contains peroxide, for use in detoxification as well as in lipid processing. So parang similar kanina doon sa smooth ER, no? If it contains those substances, you call that a peroxisome. Okay? So next. So tapos na tayo sa inclusion bodies. Now let's go to the core of our cell, which is the nucleus. So the nucleus is the one that houses the genetic material or the DNA of your cell. Kasi yung DNA na yun, siya yung parang, itong nucleus mo, siya yung boss, no? So yung nagsisend ng instructions to the rest of the cell kung anong klaseng protein yung kailangan gawin. So, ang magsisend ng instruction is the nucleus. Okay? So, the nucleus has different parts din, no? You have your nuclear envelope, yung pinaka-outermost niya. And then you have your nucleolus. So, the nucleolus, pag may nakita kayong picture ng cell, for example, you have a cell over here, tapos yung dark area usually in the middle is a nucleus, no? Pero yung nucleus na yan, usually, meron pang mas dark na area inside that. So yung mga darker spots na yun, we actually call that a nucleolus, no? So the nucleolus consists of RNA and protein for assembly of your ribosomes. Kasi di ba sabi natin, your ribosomes are responsible for protein synthesis. Okay? So, sino naman ang kailangan mo para gumawa ng ribosomes? Kasi syempre, yung ribosomes, hindi naman sila pwedeng nag-come from nothing. So, the one that is used to assemble your ribosomes is the nucleolus found inside the nucleus. Okay? So, and the boundary, of course, as mentioned, is the nuclear envelope. Okay? So, the separation between the nucleus and the cytoplasm is the nuclear envelope. Okay? So now let's go to several transport processes. No? So itong transport processes, hindi naman natin siya super totoxikin. We just have to go through this kasi we want to familiarize ourselves with the cell. No? Tsaka yung possible cell changes na makikita kasi natin. So you have two types of cell transport. No? Yung bulk transport and then yung more on solute and the transport that involves your solutes and your solvent, no? So dito muna tayo sa uh, transport of smaller materials, no? You have yung for transport of smaller materials, you're divided into two. You have passive as well as active transport. Pag sinabing passive transport, you do not require the use of energy. It will happen on its own nang wala kang ginagawa. Bakit? Because the cell wants to maintain equal concentration across the cell membrane. Okay? So, here is what happens. So, yung pinaka-simple type of transport is what we call simple diffusion. So, yung cell natin, for example, this is the edge of your cell. This is a plasma membrane. Your plasma membrane is also a semi-permeable membrane. Bakit semi-permeable? May nakakatagos pero hindi lahat. So, semi-permeable. So, the semi-permeable membrane we refer to here is your cell membrane. So, yung substances that can move across the cell membrane depends on the concentration gradient sa solubility. Pero hindi na natin totoxikin yun. So, what happens here in simple diffusion? Tandaan, there is movement of solutes across the membrane. So, tatawid siya dito from an area of high solute concentration to an area of low solute concentration. So, kumbaga, di ba, solute and solvent, if you recall your classes, no? Solute, for example, meron kang juice, di ba, hinaluan mo ng tubig. Meron kang tubig, tapos hahaluan mo ng tang. Yung solute, yun yung tang. Yung tubig, yun yung solvent. Okay? Okay? Yung solute, yun yung tang. Yung solvent, yun yung water. So what happens here? You have a membrane in between your cell. From high concentration of solute, gusto niyang tumawid to the other side. Kasi marami na sila masyado dito. Gustong tumawid ng solutes mo para eventually magpantay yung concentration nila on each end. So this process will happen spontaneously without investing energy. Kasi yun yung natural tendency ng mga solutes across a semi-permeable membrane. Gusto niyang mag-equalize yung concentration. So kung high concentration yung solute dito, um, gusto niya pumunta doon sa other side kung saan konti, mababa lang yung concentration. So, kumbaga, dito maraming tao, ayaw mong makipagsiksikan. Gusto niyang pumunta dito sa area na mas maluwag. So, eventually, magiging pantay sila in theory. Okay? So, that is simple diffusion. Bakit simple? Kasi ang gumagalaw lang dito, si solute, tapos wala siyang ibang dinadaanan. Wala siyang ginamit na energy. It's just the natural tendency of the process. Okay? Next. So, pagkatapos naman ng simple diffusion, we'll go to facilitated. So, this is also diffusion. So, the movement of solutes is the same. From high concentration to lower concentration. Ano lang pinagkaiba niya? Merong facilitator. And the facilitator here is your carrier protein. Okay? So, kung yung diffusion mo is from high to low concentration, walang ginamit, that's simple diffusion. Pero kapag meron siyang ginamit na daanan, you call that facilitated diffusion. So, it's basically the same thing. You just used a carrier protein. Okay? Next. The next one is more of is regarding the movement of water. So what do you call the movement of water? So water ang gumagalaw dito, hindi solute. So the water moves across a semi-permeable membrane, yung cell membrane natin, in the process of osmosis. So ang nangyayari dito, the water moves from an area of low concentration of solutes to an area of high concentration of solutes. So, di ba kanina sabi natin, the solute will move from high to low concentration. Ganon yung movement ng solute dapat. Pero dito sa osmosis, ang gumagalaw is the water molecules. So, pwede niyong isipin na diffusion siya of water. Maraming water molecules dito, kaya gusto niya pumunta dun sa area na mas konti yung water molecules. Okay? So, it's a movement of water across a semi-permeable membrane. So, ang tendency pa rin para ma-equalize yung concentration across the membrane. Okay? Next. So, the last one is active transport, no? So, active transport is the one that requires the use of energy. It also uses a protein pump. So, this one goes against yung concentration gradient natin na tinatawag. Di ba sabi natin, pag meron kang high concentration of solute, ang tendency niya, pumunta yung high concentration of solute to low concentration. Pero here in active transport, the direction is baligtad dun sa natural tendency, no? So, para labanan mo yung natural na agos ng solute from high to low concentration, you will use energy and protein pumps para ipilit mong isiksik yung remaining na kakaunting solutes from the other side to the area that is high concentration. So, uh, So isipin mo, rush hour tapos nakasakay ka sa platform ay nakatayo ka sa platform ng LRT. So gusto mong sumiksik dun sa platform ng LRT ay sa tren ng LRT kasi uwing-uwi ka na. So ang gagawin mo makikipagbalyahan ka para makapasok ka ng tren. So ganun yung idea dito, no. So you have to uh, actively move against the gradient. So para makapasok ka sa loob ng tren. So, ganun yung nangyayari. You go to an area of higher concentration. You're going against the gradient. Okay? So, here is summary slide lang nung isa para mas madali nyo siyang i-review. Now, let's go to bulk transport. Yung tinatawag nating vesicular transport. Diba? Sabi natin kanina, your vesicles are your inclusion bodies that are used in the transport of cellular material. So, there are two types. Meron tayong endo at exocytosis. Endo means movement of substances into the cell. Exocytosis, movement of substances out of the cell. So, pag endo, papasok. Pag exo, palabas. Okay? So, yung endocytosis, may tatlong different types. Yung exocytosis, isa lang. Okay? So, your exocytosis, example nun, pag meron kang neurotransmitter, kunyari, ko-contract mo yung muscles mo, di ba? Bago mag-contract yung muscles mo, yung nerves mo, magsasend muna siya ng instruction sa muscle mo para mag-contract. And how does it do that? Your neurotransmitters dun sa nerve endings mo will be released to your muscle. And the process by which the neurotransmitters are released is via the process of exocytosis. Okay? So, dito naman tayo dun sa into the cell, no? So, into the cell, meron tayong three types. We have phagocytosis, pinocytosis, and receptor-mediated endocytosis. So, what happens in phagocytosis? So, phago means cell eating. Okay? Pinocytosis means cell drinking. Okay? So, yun yung pinagkaiba nila. So, anong pinagkaiba ni phagocytosis kay pinocytosis? Mas maraming substance na nakukuha kapag nag-phagocytosis. So, this is what happens when your white blood cell tries to fight off an infection. Ang gagawin niya, i-extend niya yung galamay niya. Yung galamay, tinatawag nating pseudopodia. Mag-extend siya ng galamay from the surface of your of your cell membrane para i-surround yung gusto niyang kainin na bacteria. At eventually, pag nag-meet na yung galamay niya, magkakaroon na ng bagong vacuole or vesicle doon sa loob ng cell mo. At ito na ngayon yung bacteria na kinain niya. Okay? Kaya nga siya cell-eating. Okay? Kasi uh, in-engulf mo yung uh, particle na yun. Okay? Next. Dito naman sa cell drinking, parang nagsisip lang sila ng konting water. Dito sa phagocytosis, mag-extend ng galamay. Dito sa pinocytosis, gagawa lang yung cell mo ng maliit na depression or uka dyan. So, dahil watery, yung external environment ng cell mo, magfo-flow lang siya dun sa hukay na yun. At pag nag-flow na enough yung kailangan ng cell mo, the cell will close it off. So, isasara niya na yung cell membrane hanggang makabuo ka ng bagong vesicle at na-internalize niya na kung ano man yung gusto niyang kunin from the outside environment. Okay? So, dito sa phagocytosis, gagawa siya ng galamay para isurround. Dito sa pinocytosis, gagawa lang siya ng pit or uka para mag-flow inside dun sa pit na yon yung gusto niyang kunin. Okay? Yung last naman is your receptor-mediated endocytosis. Para rin siyang pinocytosis. Okay? Similar to pinocytosis, gumagawa lang din siya ng pit dito. Pero, ang difference dito, kailangan munang merong receptor dun sa area na yon at kailangan mag-bind muna yung hinahanap ng cell dun sa receptors. Okay? For example, your cell wants cholesterol. So, meron kang receptors dito sa surface ng cell mo na, ayan o, yung mga bilog na yan, mga receptor yan. So, kapag yung receptor na yan, napag-bindan na ng cholesterol, for example, kagaya dito, may nag-bindan na cholesterol, gagawa na siya ng uka. So, pagkatapos nun, para na rin siyang pinocytosis. So, dito, meron ka lang prerequisite na kailangan may mag-bind dun sa receptor. Pag may hinahanap na specific substance yung cell natin. Okay? So, the last part of the cell lecture is your cell cycle. So, the cell cycle is the process that your cell goes through. Ito, bali yung life cycle ng bawat cell sa katawan natin, no? So, the cell cycle is actually divided into two major parts. The, the majority of your cell's lifespan is spent in something called interphase. Okay? So, sa interphase, actually, yung majority of the life cycle, as you can see here, this part is interphase. And then, the cell division portion or yung reproductive portion nung cell cycle natin is actually the M phase. Si M phase or si mitosis, meiosis phase is just a small part of the cell's life cycle. Okay? So, ito yung famous na dinidiscuss pero actually, majority of the cell cycle is spent in interphase. Okay? So, doon muna tayo sa interface. Okay? So, mamaya na yung cell division. So, in interface, meron tayong three parts. You have G1, S, and G2. So, in G1, this is gap 1, the first growth phase. Okay, no? So, this is growth. G stands for gap, but you can also remember it using growth. So, what happens in gap 1? In G1, the cells will accumulate the enzymes needed, the proteins, the nucleotides needed for replication of your genetic material. So, kumbaga, for example, meron kang genetic material mo na yung DNA mo nakasulat sa isang bond paper. So, nakasulat lahat doon ng instructions ng kailangan mo. Anong gustong gawin ng cell mo? Gusto niyang i-xerox yung bond paper. So, what does the cell do in G1? Mag-iipon siya ng materyales na kailangan para sa pag-xerox nung bond paper mo that contains all of your genetic instructions. So, mag-iipon siya ng ink, yung papel, yung printer, handa niya, or yung Xerox machine, etc. Basta yung mga lahat ng kailangan na needs, pine-prepare ng cell mo before photocopying your genetic material. Okay? The photocopying itself occurs in S phase. So, S means synthesis. So, dito nangyayari yung DNA synthesis. So, kung meron kang isang kopya ng genetic material mo, isa-xerox mo na siya, magkakaroon ka ng pangalawang kopya. Okay? So, dito yung replication of your genetic material. Okay? So, sa pagdating mo ng G2, dalawa na yung kopya ng genetic material mo, yung laman ng nucleus mo. Pero syempre, alam natin yung cell natin, hindi naman siya nucleus lang. Your cell also contains the cytosol, the cytoplasm, yung lahat ng laman ng cytoplasm mo, yung mga inclusion bodies, etc., yung extra plasma membrane, no? So, hindi naman pwedeng kinopya mo yung nucleus, tapos magde-divide ka na agad, edi magiging maliit lang yung cell mo kasi hindi mo kinopya yung the rest of the machinery it needs. So, kailangan, uh, in G2 or gap 2 or growth 2 phase, kailangan mag-grow din yung cell mo. Basically, mag-double siya in size para pag hinati mo yung cell mo ngayon, magiging one whole cell siya. Hindi siya magiging, pag hinati mo, magiging 0.5. Dito, magiging times 2 yung size niya para pag hinati mo, magiging times 1 yung each daughter cell. Okay? So, G1, you accumulate all the needs para i-xerox yung genetic material. Yung pag-xerox ng genetic material happens in S phase. And then in G2, you replicate everything else in the cell that is needed para pag hinati mo na yung cell mo, magiging sapat siya. Hindi siya magiging maliit na cell lang. Okay? So, next, let's go to the different phases of your mitosis or of your M phase, no? So, meron tayong apat na phases uh, of your M-phase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Cytokinesis, kasunod ng M-phase. Hindi siya part ng M-phase mismo. Okay? So, your prophase, in this, the first step is your prophase. So, sa prophase mo, makikita yung nakikita natin sa mga palabas na itsura ng DNA, no? Yung pa-X na ganyan. Kasi your genetic material will condense in the prophase. 'Di ba? Sabi natin kanina, ganito yung itsura ng nucleus. So, 'di ba? Hindi mo naman makikita diyan kung alin diyan si chromosome 1, si chromosome 2, si chromosome 3, si chromosome 4 up to 23, no? Hindi mo makikita diyan kung alin diyan yung chromosome diyan, kung alin diyan si X, kung alin diyan si Y. So, ang ginagawa ng cell natin para madaling ma-keep track kung tama bang na hati na nila yung genetic material, they condense each chromosome, no? Para madali din siyang hatiin. So, the chromosomes will condense, and dahil condense na sila, makikita mo na yung specific shape ng mga chromosomes, and they usually look like this. Okay? So, ganito yung itsura. So, this X, yung itong parang X na to, parang ganyan siya, parang butterfly na something. This one is a chromosome. So, each of these is a chromosome. So, this one is chromosome. Kunyari, for example, this one is chromosome 1. Itong kabilang side is another copy of chromosome 1. Kasi nga, di ba sabi natin sa S-phase, dinoble natin yung genetic material. So, parang sinerox natin. So, this one is chromosome 1. This one is another copy of chromosome 1. So pag ang mangyayari sa prophase, your genetic material will condense in order to form yung chromosomes na tinatawag natin. And then what happens also, uh, yung tinatawag nating centrosomes, which I forgot to mention in your parts of your cell, the centrosome is like a factory that makes your microtubules. So sabi natin kanina, the microtubules is involved in cell division. So ito na yung one of the functions of your cytoskeleton. So your microtubules used in cell division is made by your centrosomes, and the centrosomes will move to opposite poles of the cell. Kasi sila yung gagawa nung microtubules na gagamitin para hilahin na mapaghiwalay yung copies of DNA material. Okay? So, yung centrosomes mo will make your spindle fibers or your mitotic spindle or your microtubules. No? So, yung microtubules na yon ginawa ni centrosome. Tapos, yung microtubules, sila yung magiging parang lupid. Lubid. So, para silang magtatag of war hanggang mapaghiwalay nila yung dalawang kopya ng chromosome mo. Okay? Next. Another thing that happens in your prophase, of course, is your nuclear envelope breaks down. Kasi syempre, yung genetic material mo, nasa loob pa siya ng nuclear envelope. Pag hinatak-hatak mo lang yan, haharang lang si nuclear envelope. So para matiwasay yung pag-separate yung mga chromosomes natin, the nuclear envelope will break down. I-rebuild na lang siya later on pag patapos na yung cell division. Okay? Next. So, dito sa susunod na phase, makikita natin that the chromosomes will be lined up at the metaphase plate. So, ito kasi yung chromosome natin kanina, di ba? So, sabi natin, the centrosome will move towards opposite poles. So, for example, meron ka centrosome or centriole dito. Uh, Gagawa sila ng microtubule or yung tinatawag nating mitotic spindle. A-attach sila dun sa gitna ng bawat chromosome. Okay? So maghihilahan sila, hihilahin nila ah, sa gitna nila yung bawat chromosome. So eventually sa kakahilahan nila mapupunta yung mga chromosomes natin sa gitna ng cell, okay? So mag-push and pull sila until mag-align lahat ng chromosomes dun sa tinatawag nating metaphase plate. Okay? Kapag kakahila nitong mga spindle fibers na to, eventually mahahati yung ating chromosome, no? So, maghahatak, 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 maghahatak hanggang maghiwalay yung dalawang kopya ng chromosome. So, pag naghiwalay na sila, magiging ganito na yung itsura niya. And kapag ganito na yung itsura, you call that phase as anaphase. So, alam mong nasa anaphase ka na pag naghiwalay na yung dalawang kopya ng chromosome mo, no? So, pag napaghiwalay na, they're going towards separate poles already, you know that it's already in anaphase. Okay? And then anaphase ends when when the chromosomes reach their destination. So, yung destination nila, yung opposite poles of the cell. So, kapag nakarating na sila sa opposite poles, pwede na silang mag-decondense, babalik na sila dun sa previous form na hindi kita yung each chromosome, no? And then, the cells will also begin to rebuild the nuclear envelope kasi nasa tamang pwesto na yung mga chromosomes mo. Okay? So, so pag nag-develop na yung nuclear envelope, tapos na rin naman yung role nung mitotic spindle mo, pwede na siyang i-break down. Okay? Pero syempre may natitirang fibers pa rin para magtuloy-tuloy yung pag move ng cell away from each other. Eventually, you will develop something called a cleavage furrow. So, itong cleavage furrow, pag nakita mo na to, even alam mo na you're undergoing the process of cytokinesis. So, cytokinesis is not entirely separate from telophase, no? Minsan, nangyayari na yung telophase, pero nagsa-start na rin yung cytokinesis. So, itong parang sexy part dyan na parang may waistline siya. You call that a cleavage furrow. So, lalalim yung cleavage furrow na yan eventually until mag-separate yung dalawang daughter cells. So, that is what happens in your animal cells. Sa plant cell naman, since rigid sila, di ba, hindi nga sila gumagalaw, dahil meron silang tinatawag nating cell wall, what happens is, for example, here's the genetic material on one side and then the genetic material on another side. Ang mangyayari is mayroon lang tutubong cell plate in the middle. Ganun naman sa plants. Okay? Pero sa animals, you develop a cleavage furrow that eventually uh, gets deeper and deeper until you develop two daughter cells. Okay? So here is another picture of your cell division. So ganyan yung nangyayari, di ba? Sa prophase, nag-start nang mag-condense yung mga chromosomes mo. Uh, And then, the mitotic spindle will begin to form. And then, kapag nakita mo na chromosomes are already in the middle, you already know that you're in metaphase. Kapag nakita mong naghiwalay na yung chromosomes, you know that you are in anaphase. And then, uh, kapag nakita mo meron ng cleavage furrow, ibig sabihin, uh, at nag-de-condense na yung nucleus mo, at the same time, nag-start ng maghiwalay yung cell mo, you're already in telophase. So, cleavage furrow, ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon na rin ng cytokinesis. Okay? So, tapos na tayo dun sa cell mismo. So, bakit nga ba natin siya diniscuss? Kasi we're talking about tissues, di ba? Sabi natin, we will study tissues in this subject. So, since kailangan alam natin muna yung building blocks ng mga tissues na i-discuss natin. So, in histology, we will discuss different types of the cells that we will encounter. So, the cells that we will encounter will mostly follow the template of your eukaryotic cells. So, lahat na silang mitochondria, meron silang mga nucleus, meron silang mga ano. Iba-iba lang sila ng itsura, depende on the function. So, in this subject, we will focus on the different structures of the cells, how they are arranged together to form your tissues, at bakit sila arranged that way para magawa yung specific function nila. Kasi, of each body part is made up of different tissue and they have a set structure para mas optimized yung function nila for whatever specific purpose they are doing. Okay, so as mentioned in orientation, histo is study of tissues. Okay, so let's have a short break. Balik tayo ng 3:45 para ma-discuss na natin pati yung microscope, no? Kasi yun din yung topic ng lab activity nyo later on. Okay?
Jewa, sana all wala. Iniwan lang naman ako kasi nang nagmahal. Balot, balot ko yan, balot. Balot ang pag-ibig.
Okay, so let's resume, no? Para matapos na tayo agad. So, the next part of the lecture is regarding the microscope, no? Na yung how to use the microscope, what are the different parts of the microscope, yung aftercare that you will have to uh, observe pag katapos mo gamitin yung microscope. No? So, what is the microscope? It's the tool that we use to visualize microscopic or yung mga substances that are too small to be seen by the naked eye. So, sa lab natin, we will use a compound light microscope. Compound kasi multiple lenses yung ginagamit. And then light kasi we use light to view the specimen. Yung specimen natin usually is a piece of tissue on a thin glass slide, no? So, yung glass slides, so yun yung ginagawa ng mga medtech. We make the slides, dun sa histopath subject, matututunan niyo yun in your third year. Pero yung ginagamit natin to view the slides themselves is your microscope. So, familiarize yourself with the microscope kasi this apparatus is something that you will encounter uh, all through your life. No? So, what are the parts of the compound microscope? So, compound microscope, yung microscope na ginagamit natin. Kasi more than one lens yung ginagamit niya. So, meron tayong mechanical portion, meron tayong illuminating portion, and the magnifying portion. So, the mechanical portion, ito yung mechanics or yung paggalaw-galaw, paano mo ina-adjust yung parts of the microscope natin. Illuminating, yung nagko-control at nagbibigay ng light doon sa specimen para nakita natin siya. And then, the magnifying part is the one that will zoom in para makita mo yung maliliit na substances that you otherwise won't see with just your naked eye. So, doon muna tayo sa mechanical portion. Okay? So, the mechanical parts of the microscope, the first one is your base. So, the base is the bottom portion of your microscope. Ito yon, di ba? Yung ilalim na banda ng microscope mo. It holds the various parts of the microscope. It carries the microscope's weight. So, kung ito yung microscope mo na side view, itong part na to, ito yung base. Okay? Another part, mechanical part of your microscope is the arm. So, ito yung arm. Diyan nakakabit yung mga objectives mo as well as yung ocular mo, no? So, the arm is used primarily for holding the microscope. So, kapag magbibitbit ka ng microscope, you put one hand underneath the base, you put another hand holding the arm. Okay? So, isa sa arm, isa sa base, so nakaalalay siya ng paganyan. Okay? Para hindi siya malalaglag kasi mahal lang microscope. Okay? Next. Doon na tayo sa other mechanical portions of your microscope. The next one is your stage. So, the stage, dyan nakatungtong yung slide na ginagamit natin. So, di ba meron tayong glass slide? Tapos sa glass slide na yon, nandun yung tissue, blood, or whatever na sinisilip mo sa microscope. Yung slide, ilalagay mo dito sa stage mo, papatong mo dyan, and then, to hold it in place, you will use your stage clips. So, itong mga nasa gilid, stage clips yan. That will hold your slide in place. Okay? So, the platform itself is called the stage. Tapos yung nag-hold in place doon sa slide para hindi siya gumagalaw, nagsa-slide around, is the stage clips. Okay? And the stage can be manipulated using your translation control knobs or yung ating tinatawag na stage adjustment knobs. Okay? So, itong stage adjustment knobs, sila yung nag-co-control ng stage natin sa movement niya, no? Ay, sorry. So, dalawang level kasi yan. Isa sa taas, yung isa sa baba. Okay? So, dalawa yan. Dalawang bilog yan na magkahiwalay. One of them allows movement from up and down. So, gagalaw siya ng pahalang. Pwedeng pa ganon or pa ganon. So, pwedeng X, pwedeng pa Y. So, for example, this is the Cartesian plane of your stage. Kunyari yan yung stage mo, di ba? So, it can move uh, side to side sa x-axis. Pwede siyang mag-move ng uh, vertically na across the y-axis. No? So, ganun yung movement ng stage adjustment knobs. Okay? So, another mechanical portion na hindi ko na idagdag doon sa na naligaw ng slide. So, this one is your coarse and fine adjustment knob. So, the coarse adjustment knob will allow movement of your objectives away from the stage. So actually, ang gumagalaw dito yung stage, hindi yung objective. Okay? So kung ito yung stage mo, tapos ito yung ilalim ng microscope, please forgive my drawing. Tapos dito yung light source. Andito usually yung adjustment knob, like here. So, itong course adjustment knob will move your stage up or down. Okay? Mas malaki, pareha silang nagmo-move ng stage up and down, pero yung course adjustment knob, malalaki yung movements niya. Kapag fine adjustment knob, millimeters lang yung ginagalaw ng stage. So, kapag we want to focus, you usually use the course adjustment knob kapag malayo, mababa pa lang yung magnification. Pero when you are fine-tuning the focusing, you will use the fine adjustment knob. So this is part of your mechanical, no? Okay? So doon muna tayo sa uh, illuminating part na na-skip ko kanina. You have your substage condenser. So the substage condenser will control the intensity of the light. So yung intensity of the yung light mo is produced by the illuminator na hindi ko pa pala na-discuss. So your illuminator or your light source, ito siya. So usually, may switch dun sa gilid ng microscope mo o kaya sa may bandang likod. The light switch is either dito sa likod or usually nasa gilid. Okay? So pag inon mo yon, maglalabas to ng ilaw, si illuminator. Papasok siya, paakyat. So ang direction ng light natin, mula dito sa illuminator, pataas, dadaan siya dito sa ah, aparato dito sa baba. So itong nakalagay sa baba na to, yan yung tinatawag nating condenser. So the condenser, ito yung itsura niya pag view mo sa ilalim. Yung nandito siya sa ilalim ng stage mo. No? It controls the intensity of the light that enters the aperture, yung viewing point dun sa may stage mo. No? It controls the intensity of the light. Okay, so how much light passes through from the illuminator. Yung nagko-control nun is the condenser. Yung diaphragm naman, it controls the amount. So ito kung gaano katindi, dito gaano karami. So itong diaphragm na to, isipin niyo parang shutter siya ng camera. Di ba yung shutter ng camera, parang ganyan siya. Tapos, pwede siyang lumaki, pwedeng lumiit yung camera, yung size ng aperture or yung butas ng camera mo. Depende sa pag-adjust mo na itong diaphragm. So, ito yung hinahawakan natin dyan para ma-adjust kung gaano kalaki or gaano kaliit yung diameter ng aperture na yun. So, the diaphragm controls the amount of light that reaches the slide. Di ba? Sabi natin, from the illuminator, maglalabas ng ilaw. Ang magkocontrol ng amount and intensity of light is your diaphragm and condenser. And then, dadaan na siya dito sa may butas, dun sa stage mo. Andito yung slide. Okay? So, nandito ka na ngayon sa slide level. The light will now pass through the slide papunta sa objective lenses. So, doon na tayo ngayon sa magnifying portion of your microscope. So, your objective lenses, there are 4 types. You have your scanner, your low power, your high power, and your oil immersion. So, each of the objectives, meron silang corresponding magnification at meron din silang color code. So, yung color code for your scanner is color red. So, usually siya yung pinakamaiksing objective dyan. And then, slightly longer is yung color yellow, which is low power. And then, even longer is your high power objective. At yung pinakamahaba is your oil immersion. Usually, color silver. No? So, red is for scanner, yellow is for low power, high power is color blue, and oil immersion is white or yung silver. Kung ano man yung ginamit ng manufacturer. Basta itong tatlo usually standard yan. Okay? So, madalas white, si oil immersion. Okay? So, si scanner, ang magnification niya is actually 4 times. Okay? So, 4 times. Yung magnification ni low power is actually 10 times. Yung magnification ni high power is 40 times. And yung magnification ni oil immersion is 100 times. Okay? So, ang pinakamalakas dito, ang magnification, yung pinaka-zoom na zoom, yung image mo, pag sinilip mo, is your oil immersion objective. Okay? So, scanner is used to scan the specimen para ma-zone din mo kung anong area ka sisilip. And then, so pag nag-focus ka, you start with scanner. Pag focus sa scanner, lipat mo ng higher magnification. Tapos, from low to high, hanggang pataas ang pataas yung magnification mo. Okay? A key thing to remember when using your objective lenses is you don't touch the objectives themselves. Bawal hawakan itong mga to. Wag mo sila diyan hahawakan para ilipat. Ang gagawin mo, hahawakan mo yung tinatawag nating revolving nose piece. Okay? Kasi kapag ang minamanipulate mo yung objective, tendency is eventually magwe-wear and tear yan. Masisira yung objectives mo kasi ini-screw lang yan dyan sa loob. Okay? So, ang hinahawakan dito actually is the nose piece. Yung portion ng microscope na kung saan nakakabit yung mga objectives, yung ibabaw niya. So, makikita natin yan later on sa video. So, dito, yung objectives mo, yung isa sa kanila tinatawag natin oil immersion. So, bakit siya tinawag na oil immersion? Kasi oil you will use oil. So, meron kang slide. So, bago mo ilipat sa oil immersion, maglalagay ka muna ng immersion oil. Tapos, saka mo lang to i, puput into place. So, kailangan merong oil bago mo gamitin yung objective na to. That's why you call it oil immersion objective. Okay? Next. So, galing ka na ng objective, di ba? So, pagkat galing na yung ilaw mo, galing sa illuminator, dadaan ng condenser, diaphragm, dadaan sa slide, dadaan sa objective, eventually makakarating na siya doon sa eyepiece, yung tinatawag nating ocular. So, the ocular itself, doon mo nakikita yung final image, no? And this ocular, usually, meron din siyang sariling magnification. Kaya siya naging compound microscope kasi more than one lens yung involved. So, this is usually 10 times or 15 times magnification. So, para mas madaling tandaan, usually 10 times magnification. Yung sa school, usually din 10 times yung magnification ng microscope na ginagamit natin. Okay? So, ano yung total magnification ng different objectives? You have your scanner, LPO, HPO, and OIO. Di ba sabi natin, your scanner has a magnification of 4 times. Your LPO has a magnification of 10 times. Your HPO has a magnification of 40 times. While your OIO has a magnification of 100 times. Di ba? So, kung total mo, so para ma-total mo yung total magnification nila, kailangan mo silang i-multiply dun sa magnification of the eyepiece. And the magnification of the eyepiece is 10 times. So, 4 times 10, the total magnification of your scanner is 40. The total magnification of your LPO is 100. The total magnification of your HPO is 400. And the total magnification of your OIO is actually 1,000. Okay? So, pag tinanong kayo kung total magnification, itong sa baba yung isasagot nyo. Pag tinanong kayo yung magnification of the objective alone, itong nasa taas ang isasagot nyo. Okay? So, as for the colors, scanner, remember, is color red. LPO is color blue. LPO is yellow. HPO is color blue, no? And then your OIO is white. Okay? So, how do you use the microscope? Let's watch this video.
In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to focus the microscope. Begin by turning your microscope on and adjusting the light intensity to about 5 or 6. Then place your slide
So this one is the
in the clamp
illuminator.
on the
Then you
stage
use the stage
and
clip
center the
to put
specimen over the
slide in
condenser.
place. So ito yung tinutukoy ko kanina na stage adjustment knobs, no? Na ina-adjust niya yung translation nung yung stage mo, yung movement niya from left to right, from na at up and down. Well, not up and down, pero yung vertical and yung X and Y translation nung stage mo. Okay?
Then turn the low power objective.
So, yan, no? Nakikita nyo, yung pag-ikot niya nung objective, hindi niya hinawakan yung objective mismo. Hinawakan niya yung itong portion na to nung slide mo. Yung tinatawag nating revolving nose piece. So, yun yung tama. Wag mong puwersahin na ilipat yung objectives sa in a way na ginagamit mo hinahawakan mo yung objective mismo. Ang hahawakan mo is this one, the revolving nose piece.
To place and use the coarse focus.
Okay? So, meron siyang coarse adjustment knob over here. You have a and you have the fine adjustment knob over here. So, yung coarse focus or yung coarse adjustment knob, ang nag-move ng stage mo up and down. So, mas malalaki yung movements na ginagawa ng coarse adjustment knob. Kaya kapag modify tayo ng distance, no, stage and the objectives, dun sa lower magnifications, ginagamit natin si coarse. Kasi kapag ginamit mo yung fine, 5 taon na, hindi mo pa siya napapalapit. So, kapag low magnifications pa lang, you're still trying to focus, you will use the coarse adjustment knob.
To move the stage all the way to the top.
Okay?
While looking through the objectives, slowly turn the coarse focus down until you can find your specimen.
Okay? So, i-adjust mo yung coarse focus para medyo
When you
lumilap
think
until
you've found
ma-focus
it,
mo na.
wiggle the stage a little bit to make sure what you're focusing on actually moves with the slide.
Okay?
If you wiggle the stage and nothing moves, you're focused on the wrong plane.
Okay, so minsan ganyan yung nangyayari sa mga students kapag pinapag-focus natin sila sa microscope. Akala nila dahil luminaw na yung image, yun na yun, no? Pero pag ginalaw mo yung stage adjustment knob, hindi siya lumilipat hindi nagbabago yung image. So, isa yun sa mga common errors when focusing, no? So, kailangan, pag ginalaw mo yung stage adjustment knob, mag-iiba rin yung nakikita mo kasi ginalaw mo yung specimen mismo. So, kapag hindi siya gumalaw, ibig sabihin, hindi siya talagang in focus, no? So you have to adjust it again until such time na maging properly focus na yung specimen mo.
Once you've focused at 10x, you're going to rotate the next power into place, the 40x.
Right? So ganun maglipat ng objectives, no? You use the revolving nose.
This time, use only the fine focus to adjust the stage and focus on your specimen.
Okay? So kapag gamit na natin yung higher magnifications, yung ating high power objective as well as your oil immersion, you will not use the coarse adjustment anymore. Kasi pag masyado mong minalakihan yung movements, meron tendency na pwedeng mabasag yung slide, pwedeng ma-damage yung objectives. Kapag masyado siyang napuwersa, bigla mo siyang ikot nung adjustment, no? So biglang tumama, magka-crack yung slide or pwede ring ma-damage yung objective mismo. So, when you're using the higher magnification, since mas mahahaba yung objective nun, kailangan mag-iingat tayo. So, we will only use the fine adjustment knob. Okay?
You should not need to turn this focus more than one complete rotation. Once you've focused on your specimen at 40x, now you're ready to move up to oil immersion. Turn the 40x objective out of the way and put a drop of immersion oil over your specimen. And then rotate the 100x objective into position. And it should touch the drop of oil.
Okay, so ganun yun ang nangyayari. Pag gumagamit tayo ng oil immersion objective, you have to
Once you have the
immersion
100x
oil,
in
okay?
position, use the fine focus to focus on your specimen at 100x. When you're done, be careful to turn the objective out of the way before you lower the stage. Clean your microscope and put it away.
Okay, so ganun mag-focus ng specimen, no? So, pagtapos ka ng gumamit ng microscope, syempre, kailangan natin siyang keep ng maayos. So, uh, let's go through some of the steps in caring for your microscope. No? So, when carrying, sinabi na natin kanina, you hold the arm and then you put one of your hands beneath the base para i-support siya. So, dapat hindi namin kayo makikitang hawak-hawak nyo sa arm lang yung microscope. I mean, syempre, matitibay rin naman yung microscope natin. Pero syempre, para ingat na lang din kasi paano pag biglang makalas yan? Magbabayad ka ng ilang libo. Mahal ang microscope, no? So, hindi siya basta-basta din napapalitan. So, we have to care for you have to care for your apparatus. So, excuse lang. So, and then when you care for your microscope, you don't want direct light to fall on the microscope, no? Well, we usually keep them in the cabinet. So, hindi naman natin siya hinahayaan na nakatimawang lang doon sa araw. And then, when you're focusing using their oil immersion, you don't want to use the coarse adjustment, no? Hindi lang sa oil immersion actually, pati sa high power, no? You don't use the coarse adjustment knob or the coarse screw when you are using your higher objectives. Kasi mahahaba na yung objective na yun, tendency nga, sinabi ko na kanina, pwede nyo makrack yung makrack yung slide, yung specimen, so problema pa kayo. Or pwede ring ma-damage nyo yung microscope itself. So, mas mahal pa yun. Okay? Next. When you use oil immersion objective, you have to clean it after use using cotton cloth or lens paper. Usually, lens paper yung ginagamit natin, no? So, hindi porket oil immersion siya, hayaan mo lang siyang may oil dyan. So, pagkatapos mong gamitin, pupunasan mo rin. Okay? And the oil immersion is the only objective that should come in contact with oil. Hindi pwedeng yung ibang objectives, yung high power, yung scanner, may oil silang lahat. Hindi. Kailangan, kung mag-oil ka, ang magkakaroon lang ng oil is the oil immersion objective. Hindi pwedeng yung high power mo may oil din siya. Kasi mahaba din yung oil. Yun yung tendency usually. Yung high power nagkakaroon din ng oil kasi mahaba din siya. Pero dapat, ang proper way is, ang magkaka-oil lang is yung oil immersion. Okay? Next, pagkatapos mong gamitin yung microscope mo, you have to return it to the default position. What is the default position? Yung nakatapat dun sa stage mo is the scanner or the low power objective, kung ano yung pinakamababang magnification. Okay? So the scanner or the LPO should be the one in position. And the stage should be centered and lowered. Okay, so gigitna mo siya gamit yung stage adjustment knob and bababa mo siya using the coarse focus to the lowest position. Okay, and when you store your microscope, remember when you are returning it to the cabinet, the microscope's arm must face the opening of the cabinet. Kasi, syempre, para yung susunod na gagamit ng microscope mo, hindi siya mahihirapang buhatin yung kasunod na buhatin yung microscope. Kung nakaharap pa away sa kanya yung arm ng microscope, tendency is baka pwedeng malaglag niya pa yun habang tinitake out niya yung microscope from the cabinet. So, wag mong pahirapan yung sarili mo. Wag mo ring pahirapan yung susunod na gagamit. Okay? Next. So, here's another video on the care and use of the microscope.
Always carry the microscope with both hands, one holding the arm and one under the base. Walk, don't run when carrying the microscope. Check that the bench is clean and dry. Place the microscope down gently towards the centre of the bench to reduce the risk of knocking it off. Be careful not to bang or drop the microscope. This can damage the microscope, particularly the lenses. Avoid touching the lenses because this will make them dirty and it will make your images blurry. If you think the lenses need cleaning, ask your teacher to show you how. Unwind the cord and plug the microscope into the power point. Find the on-off switch. It's usually at the back or side of the base. Every time you use the microscope, always follow the low to high rule. Start by selecting the lowest power objective lens and later zoom in by working your way up. The lowest power objective lens is the smallest objective lens and is usually marked with a 4. Here's the diaphragm. Opening it lets more light in and closing it will make the image darker. Use the lever to adjust it so that a medium amount of light passes through the hole in the stage. You can readjust the light later to improve the image. Remember, the brightest light doesn't necessarily give the best image. Here's a slide. Take a close look at it and find the specimen. Put the slide on the stage so the specimen is right in the centre of the hole in the stage where the light comes through. Then clamp the slide in place. Look from the side while you turn the larger coarse focus knob to move the stage up to its highest position, close to, but not touching, the objective lens. It's important to look from the side so you don't risk smashing the slide or the objective lens by going too far. Now you can look through the eyepiece and slowly turn the coarse focus knob in the opposite direction to focus on the specimen. If you turn the knob too quickly, you might miss the moment when the specimen's in focus. Once the specimen is roughly in focus, you can use the smaller fine focus knob to get a sharp image. Before zooming in to the next objective lens, make sure that the specimen is exactly in the centre of the field of view. Many microscopes have a small needle you can see which shows you exactly where to move a specimen so it's in the center.
So, hindi lahat ng microscope meron tong needle na to. So, dinadagay, depende lang to doon sa eyepiece. So, may mga eyepiece na may pointer, may mga eyepiece na wala. Napapalit-palitan naman kasi yan. So, depende sa microscope na gagamitin.
This will help you to zoom in on the part you want to see. Then follow the low to high rule and move to the next highest objective lens, 10.
So, yan na. Nakita nyo, hinawakan niya yung objective para ilipat. Huwag niyong susundin yan. That's bad. Ang hahawakan nyo, yung ibabaw, yung revolving nosepiece.
Your specimen should be nearly in focus and you should only need to adjust with the fine focus knob. You might also notice that the image gets darker. If it does, you can open the diaphragm to let a bit more light through. Do not move the stage down before you change to the next objective lens, because you'll be out of focus and will have to start all over again. Again, center the specimen and you're ready to move to the highest power objective lens, 40.
So, huwag niyong gagawin yan.
When you've finished using the microscope, remove the slide and rotate the lowest power lens in place. Turn off the microscope and unplug it from the power source. Check that the stage is clean and dry. Wipe it with a cloth if necessary. Wrap up the cord and carefully return the microscope as you found it, carrying it with both hands. Return pre-prepared slides to your teacher. Your teacher will tell you whether any slides you made need to be washed or placed in special waste containers. Do not place glass slides in the classroom rubbish bin, even if they are broken.
Okay, so that's the last slide for the microscope. No, this is just a summary of the lecture. So for your lab activity, the deadline is next week. It's already uploaded under modules dun sa lab activities na part. Download the PDF. You can print it and then tsaka kayo magsagot. Pwede rin naman if you use a tablet. Diretso na. Okay lang naman sa akin kahit digital. Basta handwritten, no? So, and then after, if once you're done, you can upload under assignments yung nasa assignments nun, sa file upload dun sa Canvas, no? So, dun na lang din i-upload. The deadline is next week before class starts. So, I suggest gawin nyo na ngayon para hindi nyo na siya poproblemahin next week, no? So, madali lang naman yung activity ng lab natin for this week. So, yun lang naman. Do you have questions for the lecture? You can write in the chat box if you have questions. Kung wala namang questions, you may go. Okay? So, have a good day.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you po.
So, yung lecture, upload ko na lang sa YouTube. Tapos, ilagay ko na lang yung link sa Canvas, no?
Excuse me po, nawala po yung ano. Magle-lesson pa po ba tayo sa laboratory? Sa laboratory po.
Yun na, ito na kasi yung topic ng lab. So, for the lab ngayon, yun na yun. Magkasama na siya dun sa lecture. Okay? So, for T1 LCK chat. Oo,
Thank you po.
manifest. Sige, thank you. Anong pwedeng i-ask next week before class? Pwede naman, if you have questions, you can message me sa Canvas na lang. Okay? Okay, have a nice day.